Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. My name's Angela. I started the Money Messenger project as a way of imparting some of my knowledge with regards to money. I've been working in financial planning for the last 20 years. I work as a paraplanner, which means that if you go see a financial planner and they prepare a financial plan for you, I'm the one in the background helping the financial planner to calculate how much money you need to repay debt, to invest, to make money for your future, to get ahead with insurance, debt repayment, retirement planning, things like that. So I've learned a thing or two about money, and I wanted to start these videos and this site as a way of just sharing some of that knowledge with the masses. I'm an investor myself, so everything I talk to you about in these videos, I do myself. I walk the walk as well as talk the talk. So the point of the Money Messenger project is not only to share with you some factual information about money, financial planning, financial literacy, but to actually share with you the things that I do in my personal life, because I know they work. I'm living, breathing proof. So let's get started. Today we're talking about child education savings, easy as ABC. For those of you that are watching live with me today, whether it be Instagram or Facebook, please comment in the box where you're watching from. I love to see where you're chiming in from. And if you find this video of use, please share it with your friends. Pay it forward. The videos are free. The information is free. It's here to help you. So please pass it along to those you love and care about. Let's get started. Child education savings, easy as A, B, C. So I was talking to a friend the other day who's a relatively new mum. She's got a year-old son. And she was talking about how since she's had her child, costs have obviously gone through the roof. Raising kids is expensive. There's not a lot of money left over at the end of the day. And she commented on how she is making ends meet, getting by. They have a nice lifestyle, a nice home, food, roof over their head, but there's just not as much money left over as used to be when they were child-free. She wondered how she's going to be able to pay for child education if there's barely enough now to put away for little extras here and there. I've spoken in the past about savings and how it doesn't matter what you're saving for, whether it be child education, holidays, new car, new iPhone, whatever it is. The key to savings is consistency. A small amount put away earlier, sooner rather than later, goes a long way over time. That's step one. But step two is also what you do with your savings, whether you choose to save your money into a regular bank account, even a high interest bank account, or whether you delve into some investing to try and increase your returns. So with child education savings, it's even more important that you get started early. I've done a video in the past about when's the appropriate time to save for a baby. In other words, as soon as you find out you're pregnant and expecting your bundle of joy, that's the time that you really should start a bank account or a savings plan for bub. You should drop to one income ideally if you're a double income household, and get practicing, get used to living off one income, because it will be like that for a amount of time, depending on how much maternity leave or paternity leave you have, if any. The sooner you start saving, the less you need to put away each month, each week. But if you haven't started your child savings plan yet and you've got a bub or a child or two or three or four, start now. Now is the best time to start if you haven't started already. You need to start earlier rather than later. It's the same with any savings. So for example, with my friend, she's got a 1.5-year-old now. She needs to start her savings now because child education is expensive. Yes, you've got the choice to make between private and public school system, and that's a personal choice, no right or wrong. But let's use example school fees for private school. They can be 10 grand a year per child or more, depending on which school you pick. And a lot of those fees don't even include uniform, books, excursions, that type of thing. So if you have 2 children, for example, and you want to send them to private school, say private high school, just for the sake of today's discussion, at a cost of $10,000 per child per year for 5 years in high school in Australia. Say that child goes to high school at age 13. If you want to save enough money to send those kids to private school, you could end up spending over 100 grand by the time your kids have finished private high school. That's a huge amount of money, and I'm sure a lot of parents don't have that just willy-nilly. So child education takes a little bit of prep work. as much as saving for a holiday or anything should be ongoing, your savings should always be happening week in, week out, whatever amount is affordable for you. Child education is a huge cost, can be a huge cost depending on which school you choose. So more important than ever, you need to start that earlier and you need to give it some forethought. So as an example, the difference between just saving into a regular bank account or actually starting an investment for your child, your children, can make or break the difference on how much you have by the time the school starts. For example, if you've got those 2 kids going to private school at a cost of 10 grand per child per year, by the time they're 13, if you want to have saved 100 grand, you need to start an investment. You need to save about $630 a month. And that's assuming you start with, say, $2,000 in the bank and earning no interest. $630 a month is a pretty high amount, and I should know if a lot of families can afford that, especially when they're new to the whole child situation. But what if you instead invest that money and you earn, say, 5% a year on your money? The difference is that compound interest that grows in your account year after year would mean that you don't have to save $630 a month. You would only need to save about $440 a month. Now, $440 may or may not be affordable to your family budget, but it shows the difference that putting your money in a regular bank account earning basically nothing interest versus putting your money into an investment of some sort earning, say, 5%, which is very, very doable if you're investing in like the Australian share market, for example. And that's because of compound interest. It's the interest paid on top of the interest on top of the interest as your money is left there to grow for a long time. And with child education, it's important that you pick a high growth long-term investment because a lot of this has a long-term investment time frame. If you're talking about child education, say high school starting at year 13, that's potentially 13 years of investment timing that you've got up your sleeve. A little bit more, a little bit less, depending how old your children are and whether you want to send them to private school or high school or simply just university. You want to have a fund available for them for the university. It's a long-term investment time frame. So you really can afford to pick an investment that's going to invest in growth assets, such as shares and property, versus sticking it in a bank, which is going to earn you pretty much nothing to nil interest and mean you have to save more per month of your own money into that account instead of having your money work hard for you. So let's take a look at this further, the whole point about compound interest and what the difference is between a regular bank account or an investment, for example. If you want to save money for your child's education and you can save $100 a week, $100 a month, sorry. Let's just scale it right back. We're just talking about one kid now. $100 a month. If you can save that into an investment for 13 years, earning 5%, you could have $26,000 by the time 13 years is up. So just think about the cost of child education that I mentioned before. Even one child at 10 grand a year per year for private school, high school, for example, 50 grand-ish you're going to need over a 5-year term. If you can save $100 a month from day one for 13 years, you're only going to have $26,000 available when that kid goes to school. It's not enough. So you're going to either have to scale down the cost of your education, go public, go private, but cheaper to be able to afford it. You can always top it up as well as the child enters in high school. This education plan is a starting point. It's a base. It's to try and get ahead of the game so that you've got money available when you need it and you're not just coming up with the money right then and there when enrollment day comes. So if you can save $100 a month into an investment earning 5%, you could have $26,000 by the time the kid goes to high school. If you could increase the amount that that investment makes just by 2% and earn, say, 7% per year, you could have $30,000 by the time that kid is age 13. What if you save $200 a month? You could have $48,000 saved. You're compounding your returns. You're adding more to the investment. Or if you can earn 7% in your investment, you could have a whopping $56,000. So the difference between $56,000 by the time the kid's 13 or $48,000 is the return on the investment. You're still putting away, in this example, $200 a month, but your investment, if it earns more, you end up with more. Or you don't have to put away as much per month. If you can invest $300 into an investment, earning 5%, you could have $70,000 by the time that kid's age 13. Or if your investment is earning 7%, you could have a whopping $81,000, and that's from saving $300 a month. So it really depends. I'm throwing figures out now just to give you an idea of compound interest, saving a small amount over a long time. Because before, when I mentioned, saving $600 a month, $400 a month, that's just not affordable for a lot of families. But perhaps $100 a month is. You already have the kid, you already have huge expenses, you're already no doubt saving a small amount for this and that, and nappies and clothes and books and whatever. But a child education plan should be done separately on the side with intention. Even if you just start with $100 a month and just keep it going consistently. You can increase it as you like over the years as your income or earnings increase, but just $100 a month will go a long way if you start early enough. If you give yourself only 5 years to save anything for school, you're going to need to save a lot more than if you started earlier. So regardless of how old your kids are now, or what year they're nearing into school, just start now. Even if you can't afford to put them into private school, high school now, because you've maybe left it too late and the fees are too high, what if you could save something for university? What if your kids don't want to go to university and that money could turn into a fund for a first car, or towards a house deposit, or just in case? Start sooner rather than later. So the solution to how to invest for child education, you can choose an array of investments. There's so many out there available in the marketplace, Australian marketplace, international marketplace, so many different bank accounts. It can be quite confusing. And that's where a financial planner comes in. They can help you pick a suitable investment. But you can also go it alone if you prefer, for whatever reason. Most people will pick a traditional bank account for their child education savings, a run-of-the-mill bank account. I don't really suggest that because, let's be honest, you don't get paid anything from the banks in interest. You maybe get a 0.1% or something if you're lucky. It's really nothing. And with the cost of school fees going up each year, the cost of them going up will definitely outweigh the interest that you're earning from the bank on your money. So you're actually going to go backwards because of inflation. So a regular bank account is not the way to go, especially if you've got a long-term savings time frame of 7, 10, 13 years or more. A regular bank account is not the way to go. Some people use a high interest bank account, which means exactly that. A higher interest is paid to the bank, from the bank to you. Might be 1%, might be 1.5%, could be 2%. Goes in line with interest rate movements and what banks are paying. Right now they're pretty low because interest rates are low. So the banks aren't going to pay you more than what they're earning from other people's mortgages, are they? So a high interest account, whilst that's better than a regular bank account, because you're earning a little bit more interest, it's better than nothing. You're still going to be underperforming compared to the cost of the child education fees, which go up a lot each year. So a high interest bank account isn't the way to go. I would use that if you're only got maybe a year or two of savings that you want to do. Perhaps you don't want to lock away your money into a long-term investment. But if you are setting up a designated child education savings account and you have a long-term time frame for that child education, 10 years or more, then a high interest bank account is not the way to go. Same with term deposits. You may already have a small lump sum that you want to put away. A term deposit, you're going to get a higher interest rate from the bank. Sometimes they're not necessarily much higher than a high interest bank account. So the term deposit, you have to lock away your money for a fixed term. I don't think that's a really great way to go about it because you're not getting that much interest. Also, you can't really generally add to a term deposit every month. So it's really not the most flexible. It's not the way to go when you're talking about child education. And you would have seen a lot of parents out there ask about child education saving programs. There's different companies that actually offer programs for saving for your child, like a child savings policy or a savings plan, that type of thing. There's a few big names out there. You need to read the fine print yourself on these because some of them have lock-in periods. Some of them have quite high fees as well, management fees, which means the earnings that you make from your investment have to outperform those fees for you to get ahead. And whilst they generally do, it doesn't leave a lot of wriggle room because the fees can be quite high. Some of those plans can also limit what you can use the money that you're saving for. So it has to be tiered to a particular school or a particular university or for particular school fees. And personally, I'm not a fan of anyone locking me into anything when it comes to my investing. So I wouldn't go with a plan that locks you into a time frame that you have to save, an amount you have to save, what you can use the money for. Because let's be honest, what if your child grows up and doesn't want to go to university, for example, and you're saving for university? If your child doesn't want to go to university and you instead want to use your savings for perhaps a first car, or towards a home loan deposit, you could find yourself unstuck if you've joined up with one of these savings schemes that have you locked in to what you can use the money for. So let's keep it flexible. The things that I would suggest you look into for child education are as follows. Now, these are my suggestions. They're not recommendations, but you need to obviously get some advice if you come unstuck, because there are so many investments out there. It really depends on you, your time frame, the amount of money, what you're comfortable with, what you're interested in. But as a generic type of the types of investments you should be looking into for child education savings, I would look for managed funds. Now, they can be placed online or through a financial advisor. I'd go with a simple index managed fund, something that follows the Australian share market, for example, or the international share markets, because you want to have high growth investments for child education savings. You don't want to go short-term bank account, short-term term deposits, short-term high interest savings accounts. They're short-term, they're low risk, they're low returning. They're not suitable for long-term investments if you actually want to make your money work for you. Because in the examples earlier, we talked about investments that might return you 5% a year, investments that might return you 7% a year. That is very doable, because the Australian share market, for example, has returned on average compounded interest 8.5% per year for the last 7 years. The international share market has returned you on average 14.5% per year, average compound returns for the last 7 years. So achieving 5 or 7% on your investment is actually very doable if you invest in growth assets, which are shares, property. By property, I don't mean going and getting investment property with your savings plan, because $100 a month ain't going to get you investment property, but you can pick in property managed funds, for example, or share market managed funds, for example. And a managed fund basically means it pulls your money together with other investments, and you have an investment manager who then manages your money with an index fund, for example. They'll just mimic the Australian share market index, if that's the type of fund you select, and they'll buy companies for you and sell shares and whatnot to get you a return. The beauty with managed funds for child education savings is that you can start them generally for as little as $1,000 cash invested plus $100 a month. And that flexibility in being able to add a small amount per month, every month, for however long you like, and increase that amount as you can in your budget, that dollar cost averaging, we call it, when you're buying and selling shares at high, low prices, that can make a huge difference to an investment over a 10-year plan, for example. So a managed fund is a fabulous way of being able to start an investment for your child, for any reason really, with a low amount of $1,000 and $100 a month. And it's a fabulous way. But long term, these are long term. I'm talking 5, 6, 7 years plus. But we are talking today about child education savings, so you are generally going to have a long-term time frame, like that number of years. Another option you can look into is ETFs. ETFs are very similar to managed funds. They're just structured in a different way. Sometimes their fees are lower as well. They're indexed, they can follow markets. Is another option for you. That also, you can pick one through a financial advisor, or you can do them online as well yourself, say through your NAB share trading account or a CommSet trading account. The things with ETF though, because you're buying them on a share trading platform, you do have to pay brokerage when you place the investment. So it's not necessarily good for a $100 a month type of investment, particularly when, say, the CommSet brokerage might be $15, $16. You don't want that coming out of your $100 a month. So with an ETF, if you're doing it direct or online yourself, you do need to save up a little bit of money and maybe just add to it every quarter, for example. So save into your high interest bank account every quarter, then you buy more into the ETF just to keep your brokerage costs low. But the beauty with ETFs is they can have quite low management fees, even lower than managed funds. But with managed funds, you get that beautiful flexibility of being able to add a small amount over a long period of time, directly debited from your bank account. It's super simple and super easy. The other thing you can do is buy some shares yourself. But with that, you need a little bit more capital to get started, and also it can be quite hard to add that small amount per month. So that's why I'm a real big advocate of a low-cost index managed fund as a savings plan. It's beautiful, the flexibility. ETFs, if you want to get a little bit more direct and a little bit more funky, but if you're just starting out your investment journey, keep things simple. Grab a managed fund and go for that. And whoever you open the managed fund with, whether it be yourself or through a financial planner, low-cost index managed fund is what you want. Something invested in the Australian share market or international share market, or a combination of both. If you have a long-term time frame, I'm talking 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, 13 years, for example, you want to get that growth investment, because you're not going to be dipping into the account anytime soon to pay school fees. It's meant to be left for a long period of time. So you want to leave your compounding earnings earning into the account, getting added back into the account, reinvested into the account, and just ignore it. Put them at the bottom of the drawer and ignore it. Don't even worry about checking the return daily or logging on online to see it. It's irrelevant. If you pick a good quality fund, either direct yourself or with the help of a good financial advisor, that investment should be left long-term. Check it once a year to make sure there's nothing fundamentally wrong with the investment manager, for example, but on that, leave it alone. Don't be chopping and changing every year and trying to chase returns or trying to swap into different investments. There's a lot of platforms out there which will offer you a lot of investments, and it's very easy to switch between. And particularly if you chop and change which financial advisor you go to, they all have their favorite funds that they use. They quite often will recommend you to change into one that they know, understand, trust, and have followed for years. So if you keep chopping and changing, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot when it comes to investment returns. So whichever fund you pick, as long as it's a good one, leave it alone. Check it once a year, make sure there's nothing wrong, and just run with that. The other thing I want to introduce you to as well is the Raiz app. RAIZ. It used to be called Acorns. Now it's been rebranded into Raiz because it listed just recently on the stock market. I'm going to do a video about Raiz because I am a fan of the app. I use it myself. I'm so impressed with the app and the company that I even bought shares in them when they listed just recently. So I have a vested interest in the company doing well. I don't mind if you use it or not. I use it. I think it's great. And one day I will be doing a video on it. But just to give you a broad overview, the difference between Raiz and, well, I've never even seen another company sort of open this type of app, is Raiz helps you to invest a small amount regularly each week, each month, by rounding up the expenses that you make from a bank account or a credit card or whatever. You can set the app to round up each expense by 20 cents, 50 cents, $1, and Raiz will take those small roundups from your bank account and then invest it into an ETF of your choice. You can also add a small amount. For example, I do my roundups across the bank accounts that I have and my credit card, but I also add a couple of $100 a month to the fund as well. And they've got 5 portfolios that you can pick from, ranging from conservative to high growth. I'm in the high growth one because I have a long-term investment time frame for this investment. And once you pick your portfolio, leave it alone. Don't be chopping and changing in between portfolios. It really is easy with an app. You can just click on the button and it changes the portfolio. But you don't want to do that because it means you're selling an investment and buying a new one all the time. And that chopping and changing can shoot yourself in the foot. But the reason I mention Raiz and why I'm a huge advocate of it, and I think it's fabulous, not so much for the investment behind it. I have read the PDS and I think it's a sound investment. You know, it's an ETF, it's low cost, index, follows the markets. But the beauty behind Raiz is those roundups. Being able to invest a few dollars here and there a couple of times a month, that's incredible. And I really hope people get on board with Raiz and check it out for themselves. You need to do your research and read the PDS. But that roundup facility, you won't even notice the money coming out of your bank account each month, and it adds up, let me tell you. So that also can be a wonderful way of getting exposure to an ETF, which is a low-cost investment, without having to place it online yourself through like a CommSec account, for example. You can add a small amount to it as well each month. I told you I add a little bit to mine each month, and it will add up over time. So check out a managed fund, check out an ETF, or check out the Raise app for your child education savings plan. And of course, with everything with investing, you know, it is a bit tricky. Get some professional financial advice if you're not sure. If you want a referral to a quality financial advisor that I know and trust, and I would send my own mother to, for example, just send me a message on the Money Messenger page, Facebook page. I'm happy to refer you on to people that I know and trust. So today we covered a lot of information, all you parents out there, about child education savings and how it really can be easy as ABC. It's just a matter of picking a small amount to save regularly over time and not stopping it for anything. You know, when you have a child, everybody knows raising children is expensive. But when you have a child, it's usually by choice. It's your choice. You know, child education costs are coming up. Whether you go public or private, that's not the point here today. Everything has a cost. Even public schools are definitely not free. They still have costs. Saving a small amount intentionally on the side will go a long way over a long period of time, even if it's $100 a month. You know the fees are coming. Make the conscious choice to start an investment of some sort earmarked for child education. And when your child grows up, and regardless if you use that money for education or a new car or towards their home loan deposit or whatever, showing your baby when they grow up how you saved a small amount over a longer period of time, that will be a huge lesson to your child about compound interest and regular savings, and something that isn't taught in schools. So set a good example for your children and start saving today with child education. Lead by example to all you parents out there. Hope you enjoyed this video today. If you've got any questions, please send me a message on the Facebook Money Messenger page. If you would like to hear more from me in videos such as this about different topics, I'm open to suggestions about what you want to hear from as well. Happy to talk about it. And subscribe to the Money Messenger website for more articles and videos sent straight to your inbox. www.moneymessenger.com.au. Thanks everyone for watching live today, and I hope to see you soon at the next video. See you soon. Bye.